I'm going to show you how to use real-time captions with Microsoft PowerPoint 365. The real-time captions can even be used to provide a real-time translation. And I want to emphasize that this feature is only available on the 365 version of PowerPoint, which is the online version. These features are not available on the desktop version of PowerPoint. So in order to access PowerPoint 365, you'll need to go to office365.com, and if you have an active account, you should be able to sign in with your series credentials. It would be your series.k12.ca.us email. So once you have a PowerPoint presentation open in PowerPoint 365, you can go to the slideshow ribbon, and where you see this button, always use subtitles, you can click on the down arrow and you can configure your captions. You can choose the spoken language. The default will be, of course, US English, and the subtitle language will also be in English. You can also choose where you want your captions to occur, or where you want them to appear on your screen, rather. That's the bottom overlaid or top overlaid. That will float the captions in a small window floating above your slide. It will hide some elements of your slide. If you don't want to hide anything on your slide, you can use either the below slide or above slide options. That will shrink the slide slightly, but it will also allow the captions to appear above or below, so they don't actually hide any of the elements on your slide. You may also want to click on audio settings and make sure you have the correct microphone selected. Of course, it goes without saying that this feature will not work unless the device that you're using has at least one microphone. And notice, just for fun, you can configure the spoken language and subtitle language in this window as well. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate. You can flip the switch to always use subtitles. If you click it, it will automatically begin the subtitles as soon as you go into present mode. If you don't have this option selected, then once you start the slideshow, you would have to push a button to begin the subtitles. So I'll go ahead and click always use subtitles, and then I'll demonstrate the other method a little later. So I'm going to start my slideshow. I'm going to choose a blank slide just so I have plenty of blank space for my captions to appear. I'll go ahead and click from beginning to begin the slideshow. And as you can see, every time I speak, the captions will be transcribed in real time. And because I set the language for English, the captions are in English. And it helps if I speak a little bit more slowly than I would in ordinary conversation. If I try to speak very quickly, I might fool the algorithm and then it won't render the captions very well. And actually, that looks pretty good. So anyway, I'm going to hit escape and come out of that slideshow. If you turn off the always use subtitles feature, and I'm going to go back into my slideshow, of course now subtitles are not on because I did not have them on automatically. And there are some buttons floating down here at the bottom. The button to turn on the subtitles is the one that looks kind of like this. I don't know if you can tell what this is. It's a very tiny picture of a slide with a very tiny lines at the bottom. That means it's a subtitle. So when I click that button, now the subtitles are on, and I can start displaying subtitles, and I can click that button again to turn them off and when I don't want to use them anymore. So now I'll hit escape, come back out of my presentation, and now I want to show you how you can use this feature to do real-time translation, which might be very, very useful if you're speaking to students who English may not be their native language, or if you are on a Zoom meeting or some kind of live video conferencing with a family, parents for example, and they may not speak English either. So I'm going to choose Spanish for my captions, and I'm just going to turn on always use subtitles. So now, just because I changed that one setting to go to subtitle language, and then I chose Spanish, by making that one change, now when I begin my slideshow, the captions will automatically be translated into Spanish in real time. And looks like this is pretty accurate translation. Again, any live online translation function is going to be imperfect, but hopefully this is 80–90% accurate, and that will be close enough so that people will get the general idea of what you're trying to say. I've tested this feature on Zoom's Live, and the captions will transcribe the other people speaking on the meeting. Again, it helps if they speak clearly, maybe a little bit more slowly. Make sure the volume is loud enough on your device. But if your speakers are on and the speakers are playing the audio, I tried it with a couple of students, and as the students talked, it did transcribe their speech and translate it pretty well. Also, you can translate from another language back into English. So for example, if I want to change the spoken language now to Spanish, and let's say I want to change the subtitle language to English, now I can do the inverse, and if I speak in Spanish, perhaps there's somebody watching the slideshow or watching the Zoom meeting who does not understand Spanish. Y ahora, cuando hablo español, vamos a leer las palabras en inglés. And that's probably about as much Spanish as I know. So as you can see, this is a very versatile, very flexible tool. I also want to point out that the subtitles support some languages that are spoken by folks in our district, however, not very commonly. So these might be languages where it's difficult to find a human translator. For example, Arabic. Keep in mind there are a lot of different dialects of Arabic, and I'm not sure which dialect matches most closely to the PowerPoint feature, but that's available as an option. And we also have several other languages, including for the subtitle languages, we do have Punjabi supported, and several other languages as well. For spoken languages, there's fewer languages supported for spoken language, and you'll notice Punjabi, unfortunately, is not one of the options for spoken. For Arabic, they do specify that it's Bahraini Arabic. So just keep that in mind. Unfortunately, this is just a limitation. It's a lot harder to program an algorithm to recognize speech than it does to translate text. So for Punjabi speakers, you can more easily use this feature to translate English spoken language to Punjabi subtitles, but if you had a Punjabi speaker, you would not be able to use this to translate that Punjabi speech into English. You could use Google Translate for that feature. But the virtue of having this as a PowerPoint feature that's built in is you might be showing a lot of slideshows when you share your screen anyway. So this gives you a chance to have some real-time captions. And you may even want to consider turning on the captions not just for language support, but you may also have some students who have spotty internet connections, or maybe they have some processing issues with spoken speech, and they need some captions to help them understand. Or they could be English learners. Maybe they're not fluent in English, and seeing your words transcribed onto the screen. We all know that it's sometimes easier to understand somebody who's speaking a language if you can see their words as you hear them. So all of these are options that you may want to consider. So thanks a lot.